whenever we're having these conversations around AI, there's this whole sector of folks that are, I'm in fear of it coming for my job and replacing my job. And then there's this whole other section of people that are just like, no, it's not meant to replace you. It's meant to enhance and elevate you and make you do more. And like this, like very optimistic looking thing. I want to hear from you. What's your honest take on the whole balance between that? Because like I totally understand the argument and I believe in the idea of like, yes, like this is meant to get you to do your job better, not necessarily replace things that you're doing. But then I also look at something like prospecting agent and go, what about BDRs coming fresh out of college? Sounds like we're not that many years away from that being not an entry-level position anymore, right? Given the type of work that it's doing. There's situations where I agree with kind of like both sides of that argument. And it probably is going to end up being a both sides thing, but I want your wisdom on the balance between that and how you approach that sort of paradox.
So the way that I see it, there's a couple different things that get taken into account. The first is people who are already at their job that may not be using these tools already. You're really at the riskiest, right? Second thing is that if you're at your job and you're using these tools and you're fairly good at your job, you're probably a lot better at it now because of using these tools, and you're going to do well. You're going to do really well. For every field that's been tested where people pick up any type of generative tool and use it to their advantage, they have all seen at minimum 65% increase, both in productivity and just overall knowledge. Just the better understanding of what it is that they're working on, better understanding of the context for what they're doing. So you'll be fine. The third thing is that it's going to evolve, right? It's going to evolve from just working with the generative platform to working with an agent. What we have now is just agentic workflows. Do not confuse what we have now for what's coming. If you want to see what an agent looks like, go check out Singularity Soothsayers from last week. We did a demo on Operator. And if you want to see something that might scare you out of your job, that's definitely something that could do it. So in watching that, a lot of people, their feedback was like, oh my gosh, this thing is doing my job. I'm watching it do my job. Okay, well, the reason that the first group is worrisome, that the first group says that when they see the third thing, right? And the problem with that is because you're not using the technology, you're not able to augment yourself. Mm-hmm. So what's coming through this year is I'm going to be Nico's. It's going to be Dax's. It's going to be Max's, right? Because even though there's the operators, you need me to operate the operators. I have to direct them, right? So literally everybody who's at your position now, you technically become this manager on a digital scale where you will be in charge of not only yourself, you'll be doing your work, but you'll also have an agent that does work beside you and works with you and does things with you that you'll be directing initially, but over time you'll just be a matter of directing it and it'll understand what it needs to take care of, right?
The individual will become a team.
So that's really where this goes, right? It goes to a point of what people were trying to put together, like, well, how does commerce explode based on all of this? If there's going to be such massive job loss, how's there going to be job gain and this, that, and the other? Well, that's the thing is if we're going to have this orchestra of workers, we're always going to have that thing in the back of our minds that if a human didn't verify it, we don't really trust it. So there's always going to be a human operator somewhere in the mix. Even with the driverless cars, there's somebody behind a screen in traffic scenarios that's watching it all. So that's how it's going to kind of work out. Like, will there be less people overall at a company? I don't know. The way that I see it, this year will likely stay stagnant and increase based on what this year produces, right? So I think through the end of this year, you see people, because you're going to see the agent pickup, right? So one person's going to become 2 or 3, which is going to lessen the need for new hires. Yeah. But that also increases the want for what? Solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, new companies, startups. I mean, like, you're going to have an explosion in all directions, really.
And the biggest thing, too, is we live in this weird vacuum where all of us know too much, not to toot our own horns, but we know too much. We think that we are the ones, we are not a representative of the world. Or let's just take it to the nation. Well, it could be the world scale. We're not a representation of that. Our knowledge is not a representation of everything that's happening in the world. Most companies are like, AI, yeah, one day. AI agents, what's that? Like, I've talked to multiple people that own businesses that are like, I haven't even gotten into that yet. They're like, a GPT for my tech support so that they can just ask questions that I haven't to go call some. We haven't gotten to that. No, we don't have any of that. It's not normal. We are not normal. Nico, you're beyond not normal. Alien, as you know, you are. So there's a long-standing opportunity. Just like I think there's people still nowadays going through a digital transformation, meaning we're getting off of our fax machine. We're getting into the digital world. Like all the people that own businesses and create, like if there's a competitor that has a fax machine, I'm going and buying them and I'm going to put a CRM in. I'm going to go take this storage place that uses pen and paper and I'll put a digital system in that they make. These digital transformations are still going on in 2025. An AI agentic transformation, like it's a ways out. The technology is here, but the implementation is a ways out because there still needs to be adoption, right?